Proverbs 4 and 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Awashai Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen nations that look like the heathen nations. And to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson. And I was gifted a book. The brother Amwan Abad sent this book to me. It was I think, if I'm not mistaken, the brother Gabar Adama found this book, and this is a 1925 Bible dictionary, 4th edition. First edition was in 1808, so you have to understand what happened in that time period from the mid 1700s to about 1750. About 1850 is about a 100-year period that the Bible Destruction Group moved to remove the Apocrypha from the King James Bible, but things that reference the Apocrypha are in this dictionary. So I'm gonna go into this. I wrote down a bunch of words and things that we're gonna go and examine and look at, and this being one of them. And so, just to make this a quick lesson, because I actually got to get ready to go get to the live show, so I'm gonna knock this out real quick. But I've often heard the elder Yashawamba say that you can't just open, the Bible to the book of Matthew and start reading and then, think the salvation is for everyone and all people and think you have an understanding. You can't disregard the history in the Apocrypha in the Old Testament. All right. As a matter of fact, the Apocrypha is the book that connects the history of the Old Testament to the New Testament. So that's why this very erroneous doctrine of number one, that salvation is for everyone, and then another thing that's hot right now is the controversy of Zion, who the Israelites, who the tribe of Judah and the rest of the tribes really are today. That's on the table. So this is a very exciting time to be living in. But I'm gonna read this definition on Hellenists, and it reads, Hellenists, one, not of the Greek nation who spoke Greek. All right, so there were, just like a metropolis like Manhattan, or the different boroughs in New York City, or in a gigantic metropolis like Chicago, you have many tongues. So in essence, what I'm explaining is that the Romans or the Grecians gathered all people unto them, and they Hellenized them. All right. Meaning they were forced to speak Greek. So you had and you could just watch any of the, watch the Spartacus series and see that. All these people from different parts of the world, all different skin tones and colors, were all speaking. They spoke their common tongue, but they also spoke the Greek, many of them. All right? Because the Greeks got dominion. Esau got dominion over the Greeks and kept the Greeks' language. They basically hijacked their heritage the same way as the heritage of Israel was hijacked, according to Lamentations 5 and 2, and they lost it, Jeremiah 17 and 4. All right, so make that very clear. All right, and so I'll start that again. One, not of the Greek nation who spoke Greek. The term is used specially of a Jew, of Jews in whatever part of the world they lived, who had adopted the Greek tongue, and with it often Greek practices and opinions. All right. And then it's giving you Acts 6 and 1 and Acts 9 and 29. The text called them Grecian Jews versus simply Grecians. And they could have just put that in the Bible, but to keep that white superiority lie going, they just didn't put it. They put their Jews when they could have put the Hellenist, and then everyone would have understood that this whole debate between there's neither Greek nor Jew, that there was no difference, is because they were all Israelites. It wasn't talking about the first set of people when it says one not of the Greek nation who spoke the Greek. They weren't included in that. Because when you think about it, when you go back and you read Acts and you read Galatians and Ephesians and all those different books, writings of Paul and of the apostles, the discrepancies were between the Israelites that knew they were Israel, and then those that did not know they were Israel, that were coming back to their heritage, or the ones who had chose to follow the heathen practices, and upon the encounter with the Lord and the disciples, were trying to convert back to their true heritage. And then you had the Jews, or the Judites. I don't like using that word Jew. It's a made up word, but the Judites who knew they were Jews all along, or Judites all along, were having issues with the ones who were trying to come back. That's what you're reading about, and if and that should be obvious now. If you didn't have that mindset or that understanding when you go back and read it, because why would the Greeks be worried about the law that governed only the Israelites? And so you would understand that if you've read the Apocrypha, especially the books of First and Second Maccabees. All right, because it goes deep into that history, that 400 year period of Hellenization of the Israelites. The same way, we've been Hellenized again here in the Americas under the same people, the Edomites. Except this time around, they forbid us, or they kept our heritage away from us. In the last time that happened, in the time of the Maccabees, well, Israel still knew that they were Israelites. They were just being forced to follow the Grecian ways, many of them, or willfully converted. However it happened, most of it was by the edge of the sword, because it did get to the point in the first Maccabees that that you couldn't call yourself a Judite or an Israelite, and that's pretty much happening now with this anti-Semitism attack on Israelites. They're saying that they know that they're of the tribes of Israel, that they're of the 12 tribes. And they get labeled as extremists, though they've really done nothing extreme. The only people who've really been extreme in America has been, so-called white people, white Christians. All right? I would even, gander to question, the anti-Semitism being showed toward the Palestinians, because they're Semites as well. And we're going to read this book to prove that. All right? But no one talks about that. No one, wants to bring that up. All right? But let's go to those books real quick. And I'll end this. This wasn't meant to be long. There's a bunch of people on their way here, and they're just going to come in making noise. So I'm just trying to finish this quickly. But let's go to those two scriptures in the Old Testament, in the book of Acts. In the New Testament, Salakia. But this is Acts 6:1. And I use these scriptures often. All right? And it reads, "And in those days, when the number of the disciples were multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministry." So they're purposely leading you to believe that the Grecians were also receiving any sort of blessings or understanding or any sort of gifts from the Lord, and they were not. If they just would have simply, taught that those were Hellenistic Israelites, Greek-speaking Israelites, you wouldn't have this confusion now. But, in order to keep up that lie, they lied about it. That's why they put that there on purpose. All right? That wasn't an accident. That wasn't just a coincidence. And this is Acts 9:29. And it reads, "And he spake boldly in the name of the Lord Yahushua, and disputed against the Grecians, but they went about to slay him." All right? So why would he be disputing against the Grecians? Once again, because those Grecians, all right, had beef with the Judites that weren't allowing them to participate in their heritage. All right? Simply because they were speaking Greek or had grew up in a Greek society, the Greek way. They still by blood, by flesh, were Israelites. That's where you get to Romans, the 9th chapter, verses 1-5. Matter of fact, I'll grab that real quick. Let me just go to Romans 9:4 just to get straight to the point. which is literally one of my favorite set of scriptures in the whole Bible, because it absolutely annihilates and destroys, the lie, which is Christianity. Matter of fact, I started 3, and this is Romans 9:3, and it reads, "For I wish that myself were accursed from Yahushai, or from Hamashiach, for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh." See, so that's the no difference between Greek or Jew, or Judite, as it says. Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption. So only these Hellenists and these Israelites, all right, and it really pertaining to the Hellenists, all right, because they were the ones who were away from their heritage, all right. Who pertaineth the adoption, they can only be brought back. You can't be brought back, was what that word adoption actually means. You can't be brought back to something you were never a part of, all right. So it says, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants. So the glory is going to the Israelites. The covenants was only given to the Israelites. They're the only ones that can be a part of this, all right? And it says, and the giving of the law. So Grecians weren't given the law. So why would they be dealing with Israelites on matters concerning the law that didn't rule over them? The actual Grecians and the other Hellenists, the other Greek citizens, were under Roman law, all right? The Israelites, who they set up the Herodians over, which we're going to go into that because that history's in there heavy too, and the conversion of them, all right, going back to Herod Antipater and how he was married to one of the Maccabees' daughters, all right. But it says, and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises. So only the Israelites can serve the Lord, point blank, period, all right. And once the Lord comes back and establishes his throne and his kingdom, his new government over all governments on earth that are knocked down and destroyed, then the other people will be allowed, or will be forced to worship the Bible and everything that's written in it. That's why the Lord's Prayer reads as it does when it says, on earth as it is in heaven. So the rules in the Bible, which this society is completely against, with all the alphabet stuff and the divorce and women with all this power and women over the men, and and all these usury and all manner of wickedness, bestiality, all the things that are allowed that the Bible speaks against. That's not going to be going on anymore. All right. So with that, I'm gonna give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, double honors to the elder bishops, and Shalom. Kwam Yasharallah.